everybody. Welcome back to 10-Minute Reviews. This is Freya.
I'm Amy.
We're
Bring it or woof.
reviewing a puppy.
This is a very good puppy. I'm gonna have to cut all this out.
So we are talking again about an author that we've talked about in the past. We're going to review.
We're reviewing Fred the Vampire.
We are talking about Drew Hayes,
Yeah.
and we are reviewing one of his series. Before we started with the book one of one of his series, this time we're actually going to talk about the series because this one is still ongoing. So we're going to talk about the whole series.
She's sitting on my back.
And it's Fred the Vampire Accountant. So once again, we are back into the genre of urban fantasy and modern day fantasy.
Just lay down, baby. Just lay down. It's okay. It's okay.
All occurring in, again,
Modern
times, but with the fantasy element. And just like most of the urban fantasies, the whole supernatural side is adjacent, human adjacent. It's in our world, but hidden.
Right.
And the whole series centers around Fred, who is your 98-pound weakling,
Sweater vest wearing,
simpering weakling that gets turned into a vampire almost as a joke, they think. And in his living life, because I don't say previous life, but his living life, he was an accountant. Well, once he becomes a vampire, he comes across the agents that are in charge of making sure that the supernatural world they don't commit crimes in the supernatural world or in the human world, and that they enforce the laws that keep the supernatural world hidden. He discovers that the supernatural world is pretty similar to the regular world, and that a lot of people
need accountants.
Could be supernatural, but look totally normal, and that, accountants are still a thing. And in fact, there are that he's aware of, any supernatural accountants. And yet, there's actual whole set of tax laws. Oh, no, there are supernatural accountants, because he has to get certified for it. There's a whole different set of tax laws. So obviously the government, or sections of the government, are aware of the supernatural world. So Fred decides he's going to keep on trucking with what he's always done.
Why not?
So he quits his previous employment because most accounting firms aren't open at night, and he's got a small
sunlight allergy.
So so he gets himself certified and opens up a supernatural accounting firm, and that's the basis of it. And the thing about the Fred the Vampire Accountant books, and they are probably as a series, probably my top 10 favorite series. As an ongoing series, probably my top 5, maybe even top 3 favorite ongoing series. I'd say top 5 favorite ongoing series, and amazingly enough, 2 of those top 5 are both written by Drew Hayes.
Another coming soon.
Yes, that we'll be talking about the Villain's Code eventually.
I thought we were talking about the other one.
No, the other one's not an ongoing series.
Forging?
That's
Okay.
So the thing, what's actually really cool, what's unique about Fred the Vampire Accountant, I'm just going to start saying Fred because
it's too long.
Thing. What's unique about it is that each book is almost it's not a collection of short stories, but each one is probably 3 or 4 novellas, mini books, dealing with one particular adventure of Fred's. And they're also, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the phrase, a braided novel or braided novella, because these individual stories end up intertwining with each other. So typically the 4th one has elements from the first 3, typically consequences from the first 3, but sometimes from the previous ones. And through his life, or through these stories, Fred ends up, through his death, Fred ends up meeting some very interesting people. First he meets an agent that he turns out he knew in high school. Yeah, it turns out he knew in high school. Smoking hot, gorgeous, possessed by a demon from a family curse, incredibly powerful, extremely deadly agent. But all the agents are deadly. You eventually meet Arch, who looks like an accountant, and yet is considered extremely dangerous. You don't actually find out why until much, much later in the series.
Do we ever find out what he is?
Yes. So, well, not what he is, what he can do. So he meets Christy, I think her name is, the agent. Crystal, the agent, who ends up his girlfriend. And then much later in the series, ends up his wife. There's an entire book based around, two entire books. One based around leading up to the wedding, and another one, or leading up to the engagement. Another one leading up to and including the wedding itself. He ends up meeting
the sheriff.
He ends up meeting a sheriff of a small town. I wouldn't really call that part of his inner circle. He could count on it, but he meets a local shifter, Aware, that is extraordinarily powerful, and ends up the head of his clan, and then ends up the head of pretty much all the local shifters. They call them Therians. He meets the King of the West, who's a dragon, in the body of an 8-year-old?
7 or
8-year-old boy, but is still a dragon.
And is terrifying.
Power. At one point, even saves his life. And even you could almost say, possessed by the dragon in order to save his life. Which then leads to him developing a very unique power for vampires. We're not going to talk about that. That'd be a major spoiler. But
for what?
Ends up gaining very unique power. He meets a wizard, or an alchemist.
She's awesome. Amy. She's a fellow Amy.
Her cheese is slipped off the cracker, but she's awesome. He ends up meeting a shifter, Aware, that's basically My Little Pony.
Shetland pony.
But mini. Very mini.
Shetland pony are mini.
And he's a mini pony. He ends up meeting, like I said, Arch, the agent. He ends up meeting an incredibly powerful sheriff. Turns out there's a few towns that are literally off the map that are just based around the supernatural world. And things kind of braid together. He meets the King of the West. He ends up helping the King of the West to save the King of the West's life. The King of the West ends up helping him once or twice.
His future wife's almost in-laws.
Right. Yeah. He ends up. He meets the fairies. Has to do battle there. He ends up creating his own clan that requires paper. Oh yes, and he needs a supernatural lawyer. He uses a non-supernatural lawyer, but then he ends up with
the house.
There's a sentient house here. It shows up. It ends up being one of the main casts of characters. So he ends up creating his own clan, his own vampire clan, that's extraordinarily unique. Also not going to talk about that, but that's an entire book by itself. He ends up being has to be judged by the Vampire Council, and then his secret comes out, and there has to have some deals made there. He does some work for the King of the West that ends up being pretty crazy. I mean, we could almost film we could probably film 4 of these 10-minute reviews on each one of the Fred the Vampire Accountant books. They're incredibly entertaining. They're so much fun, so well done. Drew Hayes is one of the best authors I've ever read in my life.
Agreed.
And
that's high praise.
In considering how many thousands of books, possibly tens of thousands, thanks to my And
you're also being squeaked at.
And
you said I will not be.
Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Go check out Drew Hayes. You'll find him on Amazon. The reason we have the last one of Drew Hayes books up at you is because we've got them on our Kindle.
Yeah.
Turn this video off. Go check out Drew Hayes. Fred the Vampire Accountant series.
Read them all. You will love them.
It is absolutely phenomenal. Thank you,
just
everybody,
the same
for
thing.
watching. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye.